questions you have, any tasks you have, please send them to me, and I will do my best to accommodate you and help you move forward. My background, is technically in marketing, although I've owned a number of small businesses, so I know exactly at least how I go about starting things off, and it might be a little different than the traditional way, which is why I wanted Jason involved as well, because I think Jason's a little more traditional. Plus, he has a better
Mhm.
better grasp on some of the First Nations aspects
Mhm.
of starting a small business.
Mhm.
So I've got a PowerPoint presentation that I will supply an Acrobat file to everyone after the meeting. Uh, it's exactly the same as what I'm going to be going through here, and I think that will lead us through most things, except for whatever conversations come about afterwards.
Mhm.
So, can people read this? Is this large enough for people to read?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, okay, I'll write it. So, coming up with a good business idea. This is really the hardest part of what you're doing. The process of choosing an idea can be both difficult and time consuming. Without knowing what you need to consider in the early phase, you can run into trouble later on, perhaps once you've already spent lots of money and time. If you're thinking about starting a business, it's a good idea to know your strengths and your weaknesses. It's not just an exercise to make you feel good or bad about yourself. It really helps you understand what it is that you can do and where to improve or where you need help if you want to be successful. You need to ask self questions like, what am I good at? What have others complimented me about? What have others had to help me about in more than one occasion? Which projects and tasks seem to drain my energy? Which projects have I spent hours on without getting tired? What are my hobbies and what do I like doing? Then talk to people you trust. Ask them questions, ask them to question your ideas, and don't take offense when they actually do question your ideas. This is really important. This is why you're dealing with people you trust. Things will come up, and it's better that you have thought about them in advance so that you can be prepared to them. You don't need to convince anyone your ideas will work. That's not the name of the game. What you do need to know is what issues will take effort on your part to overcome. And then you can decide whether or not that effort's going to be worth it. Because essentially, if you're starting your own business, it's going to take a lot of your own time, a lot of your own money. There's no question about that.
Thing is on. Yeah.
Hello. Sorry, I'm just going to mute. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah. So really, what it comes down to is you don't need to convince anyone that your business idea will work if you've worked it out yourself. But the process of convincing someone that your idea will work will lead you to think about things you hadn't thought of before. And that's going to make your business stronger in the long run, which is why it's always a good idea to talk to people you trust. And I mean, trust emotionally, not necessarily trust that they're not going to steal your idea.
Mm.
So, writing a business plan. This is like making a script for a movie. It allows you to visualize the future if you choose to create a business. It's like plans for making a dock or an itinerary for a vacation. The biggest mistake people make with business plans is they create them for someone else. You create them for a bank or a grant application committee, but the real target of the business plan is you, because it allows you to see things from an objective perspective. How much will equipment cost to start this? Can I afford to hire people? Where do I expect the initial money to come from? How long will things take? Is there a market for this? These are questions you should have good answers for before you invest all your time and money into a business. Obviously, you won't be able to predict every situation that might arise, but you'll at least have a plan that can be modified to make things happen. Now, I used for this presentation, Waubetek has on their website, they have a suggested format for a business plan. And it's probably likely that if anyone is going for funding, Waubetek will be one of the stops that they're going to. So I'm using the Waubetek formula to do that. Plus, I've got an expert in that particular format on the call.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to kind of go through it. We're going to have another workshop specifically designed to writing a business plan. So what I want to do, because this at least when I started out starting my own business when I was like 17, it was the terms that were used were very intimidating, and they're not meant to be. It's just that the people who put these together, they're common terms for them. So it's like a language that you don't necessarily use, but now you have to interpret. So we're going to go through the Waubetek business plan, and with Jason's help, all we're going to do is go through and kind of explain what everything means. Business plans seem daunting and unnecessary, but I promise you, you'll be happy that you made one. The reason funding institutions ask for this is because they too can understand how things will progress, because your business will make sense to them and to you and to everyone. There's no one way to make a business plan. The next little bit is basically what I just said to you, so I'll kind of skip that. So here is the Waubetek model, and I've got a couple notes on the side. Feel free to interrupt at any time if anyone doesn't understand anything, and Jason, please feel free to further explain things. Table of contents. That's so you can find things quickly in the business plan. It's simple. Executive summary. This is the business plan condensed into a couple paragraphs for quick reading. So someone can pick it up, read 2 or 3 paragraphs and say, oh, okay, this is what it's about. Next phase is organization and management. This means who owns what and who is going to do what. That's it. Operation strategy. This is something that almost everyone in business uses the term, but it's almost impossible to find someone to define what the term means. Essentially, it's a plan to make the best use of your resources. It's a plan that details a business, how a business will use its resources, and the resources, I mean people, products, and skills to meet the goals. And that's it. It's not, you don't need to have some form of like Code 17.4 plan that the CIA is doing. It's essentially what you're doing is you're saying, this is how we're going to use our resources to meet what we're trying to do. Human resources and labor relations. Really what this means is, do you need to hire people? Will it be full-time or part-time? And you are one of the people that you count as one of the people for these hiring. So you basically say, look, I'll have 2 part-time employees. I'm one of them. This is kind of, you can kind of mention the kind of wages that you want to pay them if you want in this, if you think it will further your idea of how you're going to go forward.
Letter of offer open.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, Mark, I'm on a call.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So basically, this is just so that you can have an idea of what kind of labor you're going to need, because labor is going to be the most expensive part of your small business. When I put small businesses together, I almost exclusively make sure that I do absolute. Sherry, would you mind muting? Or I'm going to mute your mic, Sherry. There we go. I almost exclusively make sure that if I can't do that thing, then my wife can. So I keep my labor force as small as possible, because I don't want the responsibility of supporting someone else and thinking, oh, okay, we're going to lose money on this, but Bob's got his kids to feed. So I minimize the amount of labor that I'm going to use for the business. Now, a lot of businesses you can't do that in. A lot of businesses are dependent upon labor, but you really need to think about how many people you need and try to keep it to a minimum. Market analysis and marketing plan. So essentially, all this is who will use your business? Are there other businesses you're competing with? And why will people use your business? That's it. That's essentially, so you look around, you say, okay, there's 2 other welders on the lake. Is there enough business to support that? And if there isn't enough, where am I going to get the other people to hire me? And if I can't get that, is this a good idea? And that's essentially what it is. It's quite simple. Financial plans. This is where everyone gets confused, and this is the part of business plans I find that people just pull their hair out because they don't know what's expected. And they think, forget this noise. I can't deal with this. And they're gone. The Waubetek business plan would, just as a criticism, Jason, and it's not on you, it's on the Waubetek business plan. I would like to see it in the Waubetek business plan as a little more simple explanation, or explain things like pro forma. Pro forma is a Latin term meaning for the sake of form, and simply put, it's the future projected income statement. It's your idea of where you think the money's coming from and where you think the money's going to in your business. Is that a good assessment, Jason?
Yeah, that's a really good assessment. Good way to put it there, John.
Yeah, and really it's simple. But with this cash flow statements, income statements, and balance sheets, there's kind of a standard format that you need to put them in. I can help you with that if you're writing a business plan. When you get one of these together, you'll understand why people want to see them. Because all of a sudden, everything's in front of you and you say, oh, okay, well, hold on a second here. I've only got this much coming in, but I'm spending this much, so I'm losing money here, but I get that back later in the year. That allows you to start planning for how to make sure that you end up saying, hey, I got bills to pay and I'm broke, but I won't be in 2 months. You can avoid all of that by putting these financial statements together. So again, when you're writing business plans, I can certainly help you with that, or I can gear you to people who can write higher level stuff than I can. Regulatory consideration. This is a fancy way of saying, are there rules about your business? That's it. But the reason you put in your business plan is, one, so that you yourself accommodate for any of those rules. And two, anyone who might be lending you money or giving you money sees that you know what the rules are. And that's essentially it. Implementation plan for recommendations. What steps are you going to take to get things going? What are you going to do immediately? What are you going to do in the short term? And what are you going to do in the long term? And there is your Waubetek business plan. Done. Have I missed anything, Jason?
No, I think you hit everything there. I mean, it's a condensed summary for sure. Like, as you mentioned, the business plan in itself, you can take a couple of days to deliver a workshop on how to write your business plan. So, yeah, this is a good snapshot of it here. So essentially, it's like essentially your roadmap on how you're gonna get there, where you want to go, how you want to get there, right? So. Open to any other questions there as well. Oh, I think you're on mute, John.
It's probably good I was on mute. I allowed someone else to speak. Yeah, I'm here, Jason. Thanks. Or Graham, thank you. Does anyone have any questions on basically the purpose of his business plan? Any kind of details that we may have missed, or something that you're frustrated on? Graham has no audio. Can other people hear me at the moment?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay, sorry, I'll just be a moment here. I'm just going to see if I can solve something quickly, technically. Yeah, I don't. Okay, I don't think I have control on that. Sorry about that. So we're okay right now with basically the essence of what it is to write a business plan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it comes to business plans, there's a whole lot of different ways of doing it. Usually, they come out to be more or less the same thing. I have software that when I'm done the business plan, it's like 35 pages. Uh, I've seen good business plans that are 4 pages before. It really caters to your business. One of the big problems when you yes, there's a general template for a business plan, Lorianne, and if you send me an email, I will send it to you.
Hmm. If I
Okay.
can also just add, there's many templates out online these days, and ours is good. It's a good starter for you to get to know, what goes into a business plan. So John's got I think he got you all our business planning guide to show you, I guess, what is involved with it. But with the internet nowadays, and there's tons of templates out there. One of which that I like in particular is through the Business Development Bank of Canada. That's bdc.ca. That's their website, and they have a business plan template that you can download to your computer that has a blank template, a blank financial appendix for you're projecting your financials. But it also has an example business plan, including example financial projections to see, what went into that business plan and how it can help you shape yours. So there's so I just wanted to say there's other templates out there. Ours is a good, and it's worked for us for a number of years. But I'll just say, we for our business plan guide, it gives a starter for you to show an institution such as ours is what you're seeking and what you're operating. Um, but it's not like you have to do our business plan guide in order to uh, you know consider to be funded through our organization. So I mean, you can use the BDC template. If there's any other templates out there, you're free to use, because they're all generally asking the same things anyhow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very good point. And again, I'll send the BDC for anyone whose email address I have. I will send the BDC one. I put a link on it for the meeting chat as well uh, for downloading that. And I have seen the BDC template, and it is quite a good template as well.
Yes.
Okay, that's the non-sexy part. Choosing a name for your business. This is the fun part, or it's the part you might dread depending on your personality. The trick to choosing a name is just make certain it reflects the product or service you offer, or it may confuse prospective customers.
Hmm.
John's Wholesale Leeches is probably not the company to sell Ferraris. And it really comes right down to that. So as long as your business is not confusing, if you have a 15-word name with an acronym that no one's going to remember, it's going to be hard for them to look you up and find it. I've got a question here from Aaron. When one is entering a market that is pretty much open, here is a real world situation that I think I might share, and with Aaron's question about entering a market that's pretty open with limited competitors and how much to charge. Yeah, I'll read it again. When one is entering a market that is pretty much open with limited competitors, how would one determine the wages prices for a service? Well, you can look up online and see generally what prices people are charging for services. However, I found I help a lot of artists, and pricing art is a very difficult, like original art is a very difficult thing to do. So what we've come up with is a sliding scale. We charge a certain amount for every square inch of the art. And let's just say it's $1 for a square inch. So someone's got a 12-inch by 12-inch painting, and you charge $1 per square inch, so it's $144. They sell that painting like that. They make another one. They sell it like that. we can bring the price up now. So let's go for $1.10 per square inch, $1.20, $1.30. When you stop selling that, you've kind of reached the plateau of what you can charge. So you can move down a little bit, and then through trial and error, by charging this, then this, then this, then this, you'll come across what you can comfortably charge and not lose business. I had a boss once. I used to think that the lower you charged, the more business you get, the better off you're going to be. I had a boss once that explained it to me this way. He said, okay, let's say you're selling photocopies for 20 cents a page. You have 10 customers that regularly come. So you're making per page $2 a day. If you raise your price to 40 cents a page and you lose 3 customers, you still are making more money with less work because you're doing 7 pages for $2.80. So you experiment with I mean, when you first start off your business, I usually find I go in a little bit low because I want to get some money flowing through. Then when you start to establish that, yes, people will pay this for whatever business that I'm doing, you raise your price a little bit. And you explain to people, we're trying, you're not here to rip them off. You're here to run a business. And people understand that you need to make money to run a business. Otherwise, why would you be doing it? So you explain to them, look, I know I charged you $200 for that job last month, but I'm starting to get other jobs and my time is starting to get a little more limited. So I have to charge you $230 now. And usually people will understand that and say, yes, that's fine, and go with it. So do a little bit of market research, find out what the general price is, even if it's not in the area. Stay within that general area, but always remember that that charging, you can bring your price up or bring the price down, and it's not going to destroy your business. Jason, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a good question, Aaron. Yeah, entering into a market that's pretty much open with limited competition, determining the wages or prices for services is going to be a little tricky, I guess, to bring out. But I guess you would probably try to consider also other areas. Let's say maybe there could be a comparable business that maybe in North Bay or something like that, and see what you can find online, and general calls to other businesses on rates. Like you can do just like mystery shopping type calls like that to try to help you determine what would be a reasonable rate for any product or service. So yeah, I know it'd be pretty tough to do in a localized market, but there's other ways you can sort of reach out and see what other businesses are doing, and if it's coming in at a reasonable cost.
People will often not just do their business based on cost alone. Service is hugely important, and if they like your work, they will pay more for it. At least I know I do. I'll if I have someone and it's done right the first time and I don't have to deal with it afterwards, I don't care what they charge to
Yeah.
a degree. Is that good, Aaron? Okay, we'll move on. Excellent. Okay, so financing. This is another fun part. The first thing I put down here is what's known as bootstrapping. And this is something that personally I've always done when I've started my own businesses, and it's self-funding. It's a good way to do your startup financing, especially when you're just starting, because it's your money. You're not responsible to anyone else. You have to start off small when you're doing this, but starting off small means you don't make big mistakes. And one of my worst nightmares is having someone invest in me put in, $50,000, and then I mess up. That means I can't use them in the future for support with something I'm doing. Two, I've lost them money, and three, I've thrown away an opportunity. So I usually try to start my business, even in a small basis, as a part time, just to see what happens and use my own money. When you have your own money, you're tied to that business, right? Because you got skin in the game. So at a later stage, if I'm looking, say, to Waubetek, or if I'm looking to a bank to loan me money, I can say, look, I've got $60,000 over 5 years invested in this, and this is how much I'm getting out of the business. So it works. I just need money to make it bigger, and that really reflects well on their decision, because they feel like they're backing a winner, as opposed to taking a financial risk with their money. And their job essentially is to minimize risks with people's money. Jason, your thoughts on self financing?
Yeah. Well, certainly that approach would certainly give, I guess, one or an individual that the way you sort of look at how you're operating, and not really having to really answer to anyone or report to anyone, will help you sort of test that market in this way. If you're self-funding your startup, I'm looking at, I guess this would be like a micro business, and if you have the wherewithal to self-finance your business, that might be a good option for you, to look at, if depending on what you're doing. But if it's a more of a bigger business, that your startup costs are fairly large, let's say $100K, maybe you're buying a couple of pieces of machinery, or whatever it may be. But sometimes in the work that I've done over the last 16 years, a lot of people have difficulty just raising 10% towards their startup costs. And I see this across the board in a lot of our communities that we serve. But I mean, it could be your first option in doing this, but not everybody has the financial wherewithal to fully fund, their full startup costs, at startup. But I mean, of course, by doing that, you have skin in the game. You're putting all your financial resources in, so you're going to do everything you can to make sure that you run a successful business.
And yeah, this is certainly not the only way of doing it. We're going to go through a couple other options. This is the one that usually gets overlooked when people are doing these kind of seminars. And I find, if you can start small, it will help you in the future to get big, if it's the kind of business that you can start small.
Yeah, let's just say, for example, let's say maybe you have a lawn care and maintenance shop. Looking at maybe a push mower, a riding lawn tractor, maybe a weed whacker. But considering the cost of those, it could be running up to about, let's say, $2,500, maybe, give or take. And this is something I did on my own back when I was 16. I did that when there was only so much summer jobs in our community that I wasn't lucky enough to obtain. So I asked for some help, parents, uncles, aunts, if they would help me in buying these pieces of equipment. And I was successful in getting the financing I needed, and I paid back some that required payback. Parents, obviously, it was a gift, but it really helped me to deploy my service, which was lawn care and maintenance. And I'll tell you, it was probably one of the best experiences I've done as a 16-year-old, and in my youth, and ran my own business. And man, I probably made more money doing my own thing than my friends that were in a summer job. So I found that very rewarding.
And that's the next thing. Love money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So this money is loaned by a spouse, parents, family, or friends. Investors and bankers consider this as patient capital because no one's in a huge rush to get their money back. This is money that's going to be repaid later as your business profits increase. One thing to watch out for on this is family and friends rarely have too much money, so they can give you a bit. But if you're looking for $100,000, at least the crowd I hang with, their family doesn't have $100,000 to throw at me. They also may want to have some equity in your business. Often business partners are best when there's no serious friendship involved because a lot of emotional things get involved, and you should never really take that lightly when you're having a business relationship with your friends and your family. However, that being said, if my son came up to me and said, "Look, I need $6,000 to start my own business," there's no way that I wouldn't help him out on that, as long as he had a proper plan to go with it. Government grants and subsidies. Now, here's another way to do it. Government agencies provide financing, like TFN, with our with our small business grants, financing that can be available to your business. One of the problems is there's usually criteria, and there may be strong competition, and the criteria for awards are often stringent. Generally, most grants require you to match the funds that you are being given, and this amount varies greatly depending upon the grantor. For example, a research grant may require you to fund 40% of your total cost. Generally, you'll need to provide a detailed project description, an explanation of the benefits of your product or project, a detailed work plan with full costs, details of relevant experience and background on key managers, and completed application forms when appropriate. These things tend to be all the same with the requirements with most of the granting areas. So once you've gone through all of the work to suit one, you can start to recycle, reuse and recycle, take bits from one application, put it into another application. So rather than try to put all of your eggs in one basket, if you've done the work to have your business plan, to lay out what your general project description is, it's a good idea to look at other avenues for financing and use those resources as well. The work you've already done to try to achieve that. Jason?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good, John. Really good. Yeah, government grants and subsidies they're all out there, but there's certain guidelines and criteria that have to be met. I'm not sure how much we're going to get into that, but I know there's a great big focus on you, the applicant, the Indigenous applicant, on what you're bringing to the business and, what your duties and responsibilities are. And, are you contributing directly to the revenue generating activities of the business? That's some of the things that we look for. But yeah, I mean, generally, yeah, we'll try to help you find the money that you need in order to start your business through grants and loans.
Yeah, and one nice thing about grants is you don't pay them back.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, they are conditional. Like upon approval, they are conditional grants that would not need to repay back when the monitoring period has been completed. So it's kind of it's a deferred liability during monitoring. So we need to stay in his business. Not go bankrupt or close the business, wind down. Those things would make a government grant repayable, at least in the programs that we deliver.
yeah, you need to do what you said you were going to do.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's essentially it.
Yeah.
That being said, it is a good avenue to go and the other thing too is often people think that if you're getting one grant, then you're probably ineligible for other grants. That's not always the case. Sometimes you can do something that's known as leveraging, where because you're getting money from one grant, you because one government organization is believing in you, another government organization is more likely to support the project as well.
Hmm.
And again,
Yes, we see many clients that will go through a couple of avenues. Looking at us, for a grant, like let's say, the 40% that John uses in the example here. That's generally what we can do uh, when we're looking at a startup is up to 40% of your cost or the maximum amount, whichever is the lesser. And they may be reaching out to, let's say, Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation, NOHFC, for a portion of non-repayable as well. But something to keep in mind that not everybody tells everybody is the government stacking rules. There are some entities that have stacking rules where you can only obtain so much in grants towards a proposal. And just for us here, our stacking policy is up to 60% funded by federal, provincial government resources.
yeah.
Like,
So essentially, 40% has to come from you.
yeah, and then you can look at getting another 20% from another federal or provincial body.
And it's Jason's job and it's my job to help navigate you through this process. What we're trying to do right now is just expose you
Mm-hmm.
to the possibilities.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, like, again, I've been doing this 16 years, and like it's it, there's not all 100% grant available out there for any real business. There is a portion of grant available, but people will call and they say, I just want all grant. I don't want the loan. But a lot of the programs that are being delivered, in order to receive a grant, you have to have some form of commercial loan within your project as well.
Yeah. So basically, you need skin in the game.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and for a granting organization to support you, they want to make sure that your your liability is on the line as well.
Yes. Hmm.
Lending agencies, banks, Waubetek, etc. These are the most commonly used sources of funding for small and medium-sized businesses. In general, you should know lending agencies are looking for companies with a track record that has excellent credit. A good idea is not enough. It has to be backed with a solid business plan. Startup loans will also typically require personal guarantees from the entrepreneurs. I think
Hmm.
we just kind of covered that in the last one.
Hmm. Yeah, and in addition, a lot of like for us, it's like we for any startup loans, the collateral or security that we like to obtain is usually equipment being purchased within startup. Like we will put a lien on equipment that we're helping to purchase until the loan is paid in full. And I know there's also some other entities out there that will obtain a personal guarantee from the entrepreneur to get as a security or collateral mechanism. But for us here, we do we would place liens on equipment purchases that were purchased through the project.
Yeah, this is like when I was 14 and I go, Dad, can you loan me money to get a car? And he's like, well, how do I know you're going to pay me back?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's essentially these are because uh, especially with Jason with Waubetek, Jason's got the responsibility of dealing with public money,
Mm-hmm.
and public money is you really need to account for it. So every decision that Jason makes, he is morally liable to make sure that it's doing good. in the community rather than being wasted.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why the companies make you guarantee the loans, et cetera, because they want to make sure that that the money that they could be putting to something that's going to benefit people and work is going to benefit people and work.
Mm-hmm.
They're certainly not your enemies. They're your friends, but there's a number of safeguards and rules that they've put inside.
Yeah. Much like financing a vehicle, right? You know, a lot of anytime you're financing a vehicle, well, there's a lien put in place by your financer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Taxes. Now Jason's probably going to be smarter on this than I will because because I'm not used to because I'm not First Nations.
Mm-hmm.
So I know for what I am, business taxes tend to be about 9% for a small business tax. Where the reason I put down corporate tax is 28% is just to let you know that the federal government does try to support small businesses and taxes
Mm-hmm.
less
Mm-hmm.
than the big guys.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then like I'm no tax guy. And you know, we don't pretend to be here either. For any sort of real tax you know, questions, we always strongly recommend they reach out to someone in their area you know, maybe chartered accountants or, you know, professionals in that industry, and you know, make an inquiry there to see how, you know, how this affects your business, if any. Because yeah, we get a lot of questions like that, you know, or, you know, do I have to charge tax you know, on, you know, doing my business on the reserve here, right? I know that's a big topic, and you know, it likely could take a day to fully understand.
And so, you know, Jason, we will be we will be bringing someone to do an online seminar about taxes and First Nations.
Mm-hmm.
I just
Mm-hmm.
haven't found the right person to do it yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think there's certain sectors or industries that are, you know, where you don't charge tax. But like I said, I always recommend to speak to a professional chartered accountant for any of these tax questions, and you know, get some advisory support from a professional on that. But typically, when you're on the res, you know, when you have a service, let's say you're cutting lawns, and you're servicing people on the reserve. Well, that's really, you know, it's non-taxable, so you don't have to charge the tax, especially beyond the reserve. So yeah.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
that I believe is because the reserve is technically supplying you the services as opposed to the federal government.
Yeah, and
So
it's a native to native transaction.
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, so yeah, that was the one that I wasn't too sure of. So we want to employees.
Hmm.
Labor is usually the most expensive part of operating a business. So deciding what to pay your employees is one of the most important decisions that you're going to make. Um, Aside from paying employees fairly and competitively, you also need to consider your business needs and minimum wage obligations, as well as whether or not you're deducting taxes, whether you have a payroll department, etc. Uh, Before you bring on an employee, it's a good idea to talk to people. First of all, talk to other businesses and see how they do things. Then start to talk to people who can advise you. I can get you in touch with people that will give you some good advice on this. Uh, the only reason I'm mentioning this is before you take on an employee, make sure you know what you're getting into.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and like there's also supports available for entrepreneurs, I believe, through employment agencies, and I think Temagami's with Gezhtoojig Employment and Training. If
Yes,
I'm,
yes,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So there could be an avenue there, and John and I would you know, refer you to maybe contact a place like Gezhtoojig Employment and Training. You know, let them know that I'm in business, and you know, I'm looking for employees, and I think they also have some programming to help you hire somebody at like offering a wage subsidy to help you hire that individual or employees. Yeah.
Now, Aaron
Mm-hmm.
Aaron is asking, what's the wage markup? If I pay Joe Blow 25, what do I need to charge the customer? I have
Mm-hmm.
a general rule for that, and my general rule is if it's a product, I charge 50% more. If it's a person, I charge 100% more. But that's a general rule. It all
Mm-hmm.
depends on your market, what you think you can get for the employee, and how good how fast the employee is.
Mm-hmm.
Because someone might take 4 hours to do something that someone else might take 2 hours for. So you would want to charge, if you're paying both of those employees $25 an hour, I personally would charge more for the employee that gets things done faster.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, again, these are things that you just kind of, construction and services up here, I think we're more. And it's quite possible
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
people charge more for that. That's just a general rule that I've gone with. But again, I usually shy away from as much as I can from hiring employees.
Mm-hmm.
So I might not be a good person to ask.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, those are all good factors to consider. Of course, yeah. The time is one thing, right? To complete a task, and is there any materials cost that you've incurred? Consider things like that. Really got to consider costs for sure. Like, what does it cost you to do this, perform this service or offer this product, right? So. Yeah, so keeping those in mind, and then this should help you establish, a markup there.
And
Mm-hmm.
remember, if you're paying an employee $25 an hour and you're having them work an 8-hour day for you, however, you're only doing services for 4 hours, that's 8 hours that you're paying for, not 4 hours that the customer is paying for. So you need to pay for that as well. So that's probably why the construction services have a higher markup
Mm-hmm.
for it, because oftentimes you've got your employees not actually working for a customer, but working for you, cleaning up your yard, getting the site ready, and they're on the clock when they come and say, "Hi, I'm here for I'm ready to start." They're on the clock, but they're not necessarily on the clock to the customer. So
Mm-hmm.
what you're charging the customer should be based upon how much you're paying in employment, as opposed to how many hours that employee is working for the customer. If you look at a
Mm-hmm.
retail, maybe a retail outlet probably has their employee dealing with people who are purchasing 4 out of 8 hours or 3 out of 8 hours, right? But they need to have them there for the whole time. Well, somebody's got to pay for those people, and if you're paying them, you're only paying them twice what you're only charging the customer for them twice what you're paying them, and you have a customer in for 30% of the day, you're losing money. I probably just confused that far too much than what it should be. But yeah, essentially figure it out what it is that you're actually paying for labor, not necessarily what your hourly wage is for an employee. Insurance. This is a tough one. I mean, are small business startup services available for on reserve businesses, or do you only help members like me who live off reserve?
Hmm.
And I believe that's a question to you, Jason.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good question, Diane. We service both on and off reserve businesses. Yeah, we're not tied to just on reserve. If you're looking to start a business off reserve, we can certainly help and consider an application. Mm-hmm.
I think it was the inverse. I think that she is on reserve and wants to start a business.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, yep, yep. So that helps.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Diane, definitely yes. Um, oh, she's off
Yeah, yeah. I
reserve.
knew
Yeah.
she's off
Okay.
reserve. Yep,
All
yeah.
right.
That's what I had thought. Yep, yep. So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. As long as you're within our catchment area, which is Sault Ste. Marie, well, just north of Sault Ste. Marie, Goulet Bay, right through the North Shore, Highway 17, Manitoulin Island, Sudbury, North Bay, Temagami, and down south up to Barrie, we can consider an application. We do many offers or businesses. Yeah.
And when you do an application, I mean, you're under no obligation to go through me as well, but it might be a good idea because I can actually, I'm here all the time. I've got my phone here all the time. If for some reason Jason can't reach you, there might be something that I can settle up, and we can. I can certainly help you help prepare your applications to Waubetek.
Mm-hmm.
Insurance. This is a tough one. It's always a good idea to have insurance, and no one ever thinks it is because they think that they're going to be paying in more than they're getting out. And that's how insurance operates. You do pay in more than you get out, except sometimes. But those sometimes can be big things.
Mm-hmm.
So you are not under an obligation unless there's certain funding rules to have insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I think you might be in certain businesses, but for the most part, to have a general small business, you are not under obligation, but it's definitely something that you want to constantly reassess on whether you should have it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because one lawsuit can completely put you out of business.
Oh yeah. It certainly is. It's an added insurance in case of any accidents. Like let's say you had an employee or whatever, and something happened, or to yourself, for instance, on the job. Well, the business should cover business property and liability insurance. Like John mentioned, that if you're going through some funding agencies will want to make sure that you have insurance if they make some investment. So they want to assist you through that and help you with the cost of acquiring the insurance to ensure that any equipment that you obtained is insured. Maybe an accidental fire breaks loose and you lose equipment. Well, your insurance would be able to cover you on that. But it's an added mechanism to I guess alleviate the risks associated with operating your businesses. Consulting companies, they may not have, it may not be capital intensive, but they're more human capital. So they do things like errors and omissions insurance policy with a commercial insurance broker. Yeah, but something like a small micro, yeah. I mean, I guess you just base it on your needs, but reach out to some people out there if you're unsure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even to the point where it's just something that if you've got some form of brick and mortar somewhere where someone is going to if you're operating something out of your house and people are coming to your house to deal with it, if they slip on the sidewalk and break their leg, you can be sued, and that's the end of your business. It might be a lot of grief and heartache for you. Going with insurance will at least make sure that you can continue. The reason that a lot of the granting agencies don't want to deal with people if they're not going to have insurance is because they want you to succeed as well.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just one more little piece of the
Mm-hmm.
pie that
Mm-hmm.
that will keep you from
Mm-hmm.
disaster.
Mm-hmm. And there could be a point somewhere down the line. Let's say you've been operating. You sort of hit the pavement there. You got a year under your belt or so, or maybe less. But maybe there's opportunities that are come up locally. Let's say some tenders for services that may interest you in your business to submit. And some of these tenders will want to make sure that you are insured. That could be one of the requirements for bids and on contracts and that. But that. Yeah, so that's one other reason why that insurance is also good as well.
Yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
so again, it's not 100% necessary, but it's a really, really good idea.
Yes.
Records and bookkeeping. This is something that a lot of people hate as well. I advise you, I mean, it's good to get a bookkeeper if you can understand accounting yourself, you can do it, but without a doubt, keep all of your receipts. If you do nothing else, have a jar that has the year and pop. Once you buy something, write down what it was on the back of the receipt and put it in the jar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or the old shoebox approach. Yeah.
Yeah, just as
Yeah.
long as you've got it.
Yeah. And
If you don't have it, it can be a huge nightmare for you. Even to the point where if you're going to apply to get funding, and they say, "Okay, have you put money into this?" And you say, "Well, I've put, $5,000 into this business." Well, show me where. Well, I got some stuff. Instead of say pulling out your jar, going through it, saying, I don't know why they need these things, bringing out the receipts and then being able to prove that you put this money in, that sometimes will act as part of the money that they want to see you put into it. It's called
mm-hmm.
in kind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Like so, the importance of records management and bookkeeping, we can't stress that enough. I'd say and part of the programming that we provide will depending on your situation, one of the things I do is automatically put costs there to hire a bookkeeper or accountant to help you understand the basics of bookkeeping and provide you with some training on what you need to do in order to one day produce your own financial statements if that's your goal. But yeah, keep all your receipts, any purchases that is made, any money that's bringing in being recorded. And then it's that much easier working with a bookkeeper when you make that call to, look, I'm in business or I'm starting. I'm looking to hire a bookkeeper to help me, manage my company financially. And, like I said, we can pay 75% of the cost to hire a bookkeeper accountant. So, and that's a grant. And this is something we strongly suggest. Getting somebody that's out there, third party, not really, closely related. I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of that as well. Yeah, my brother said he'll help me, or I have an aunt who does it, or who works as a finance officer, who's willing to do it. But I'll tell you, that doesn't really come to fruition all the time. It's I've seen these people chasing them. Yeah, they said they're gonna. Oh, they said next week, and then I've seen they just, what, that's okay. I'm just gonna seek out other help. And so getting a third party, someone that does just bookkeeping solely, that's their bread and butter. That's how they make income. They would probably be your right source to look into for bookkeeping requirements.
And if you're organized, they're fast.
Yes.
They're not gonna be charging you a huge sum of money because
Hmm.
you're basically saying, here's the stuff, here's what it's for. Can you write it down?
Yeah.
And that's essentially what they're doing. So it's not going to take them a lot of time. There are a couple other options that I just feel I should mention. A very basic one is you start a bank account solely for the business. Personally, I don't tend to make a business account. I just make it a bank account so that everything I do comes in or out of that bank account, so that there's a quick access. I can go online and I said, yeah, I've got $2,200 in the bank, and I spent 640 this month. And every transaction will have a date. That's a nice, quick, easy way of at least getting a little bit organized. There are other programs. There's one called Waves Accounting, which is free. It's online, and it will issue receipts, professional receipts for your customers. They'll be able to pay you with credit cards. However, they take like 2% or 2.5% or something like that from that if you decide that. Or what I do, we've got a rental unit in town, and I go through the Waves program. I send a receipt out to the customer. They send a bank transfer. I enter that in as cash. It costs nothing one way or the other, and I always have a record of where everything's going. So in case
Hmm.
the government comes after me and says, "Hey, we
Hmm.
don't believe you," I'm saying, "Well, look, here it all is."
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that would be a strong way to start. Is if you're a micro business, yeah, you can probably run it through your personal account. But we strongly recommend that you try to keep your business transactions separate from personal transactions,
Yeah,
because it'll
very
just
good.
be a little bit easier to navigate for yourself when you're looking at your weekly ledgers or your monthly bookkeeping. And then separating all those business and personal expenses will help you be better organized.
And it
Mhm.
will help you too to sit there and say, okay, what do I need to pay this month? How much money do I have now? And if there's extra, what can I do with it? Because it will all be there right in front of you instead of going through what I would do out of instinct, thinking, well, I think I got, I don't know, well, $5,000. I can do this. No, it's
Mhm.
right there in front of you, and there's like a straight number, and things suddenly become, your life becomes easier
Yeah.
when you get set up like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, if nothing else, have a shoebox or a jar that you keep the receipts on that you write down. If it's just insane not to do that if you're not going to have proper accounting.
Hmm. Hmm. This helps you in the long run. It really does. Like, it may seem like a daunting task, but in the long run, you'd be really happy that you've done this.
Yeah,
Especially, let's say you've started, you've done well, then you've got demand is growing, and you need more equipment, or you need some more help financially, you need some investment. Well, then you're able to produce financial statements at a click of a button, right? As opposed to, well, now I gotta get someone to do my books.
yeah.
When you're in need to buy other equipment again, but by being organized, this will really help you in the long run.
And this allows people like Jason to sit there, have a basically have like a couple sheets of paper and say, well, they spent $14,000 and they took in $26,000. Yeah, they're making money. I really feel that they'll be able to repay the loan that they're trying to put in. So bam, there's your check mark.
Yeah.
Rather than Jason, trust me, this is a good idea. This is a good investment. He's got to put his reputation online, saying, well, do I just take the guy's word for it, or is there any kind of evidence? And all of
Hmm.
your receipts and all of your things, that's all evidence.
Hmm.
Marketing. Okay, we'll have another workshop specializing in marketing, but in principle, marketing is really simple. It's just telling people who want services or products that you're offering those services and products. That's it. The only variables in how to do this is how effective and how expensive are the options. The super easy answer is, how would I find out about a business like mine and want to use it and do that?
Hmm.
So a lot of options are available now that weren't before for small businesses. Things like the internet, Facebook
Hmm.
pages, Instagram, depending on how far you want to go down that rabbit hole of the internet. Uh, you can. I know I've had marketing campaigns where it used to reach the same number of people and have the same effectiveness, it would cost a customer about $7,000 to do like one campaign. I could do that now for them for 300 because the internet allows you to completely target whatever market you're after. It's a non-wasted item. It's not like sending out flyers to houses and 1 in 75 people might even be interested. So you're spending 75 postages to reach one person. Here you're spending like half a cent to reach each individual, and you have a far higher uh, return for your investment for the internet. And what's nice too is the actual numbers especially in a place like Temagami where there's a limited population. Even right now, we're probably looking at about 2,000 in the general area, and that's summer. It goes considerably down in the winter. Uh, you're talking tens of dollars to do online marketing, and it introduces you to the concept of marketing, where you can say, you know what, maybe I will do something else here, but you'll have gotten your feet wet on knowing what works and what doesn't work. But the real bottom line is, marketing is telling people what you do. Marketing plans, again, that's another one of these intimidating terms that people see. And really, all the marketing plan says, or all a marketing plan, if any of the granting agencies are asking for one, is how are you going to tell people about what you do? And that's it. Customer service. Okay, everyone knows what bad customer service is. Person is far more likely to tell friends if they receive bad service than if they receive good service. I've heard numbers knocked around, but I think it's something like a person is 20 times more likely to complain about bad service than they are to compliment good service. So the most important thing is avoiding bad customer service. Beyond all advice, just be professional and polite. Even if the customer is not, it's not worth putting all you've worked for at risk to be right on something. You know, you might want to swallow a little bit of pride. It doesn't mean people have the right to offend you. It simply means that you're acting in a professional manner, because bad reputations spread really quickly. If you want to go the extra distance, here's a few tips on customer service in general. Build relationships with your customers. Make sure you know their name. Call them by either Mr. or their first name, but address them as a human as opposed to addressing them as a money making venue. Be present on every level. Respond to phone calls and emails. Answer your customers' questions. Treat every customer with the same level of service, and pay close attention to what they say to you. Hire employees with excellent people skills. Learn to be a pro at problem solving. If you solve a problem for a customer, they will come to you until they die. That is the very best thing you can do with a customer, is even if it's not related to your business, if they have a problem and you solve that problem for you, they will come back. Don't ever make false promises or guarantees. People know that sometimes people can't do things. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you say you're going to do something and you can't do it or don't do it, that leads to a very bad taste in someone's mouth. Understand the value of customer retention. It's a lot easier to keep a customer than get a new one. And treat your employees the way that you treat your customers. The happier your employees are with their position, the more dedicated they'll be for your small business. That's pretty much what I wanted to go over. Jason, if you've got any other comments, right now your mic's off. If you have any other comments, that's great. If anyone has any questions, let me know. Lorianne, please send me an email. My email address is ecdev at, I don't think you sent me one yet, so I want to make sure that I'm going to send you the resources. Anyone who's already, who sent me an email, I've got you on file now, so I'll send you a copy of what we were talking about.
No, I think that's good. I think it's just a good start to get the ball rolling if you're thinking about starting a business, which I imagine why you guys are all on this call here today, just to get a general sense of what's out there, what to look for. John is there to assist you. You can reach out to John. John reaches out to me. We work together on some things, so we will bounce ideas back and forth. So, we're here to help. Like John mentions, I work for you as well. I advocate for Indigenous entrepreneurs to help see their business comes to fruition.
Does anyone have any questions or comments or? I guess that's that. We will have another we'll have another workshop. I believe it's September 22nd. This one I'm going to be having in the evening because one of the points of feedback I got from this is that some people would prefer it's in the evening because they're working during the day. So we'll see how the evening goes. The BI Blast will carry it. So we'll have a Facebook and email and a general mail out as well. Again, see where it says 205? That's incorrect. That's extension 203. That is my extension. Feel free to give me a call at any time. Shoot something off me. Let me know, or if any questions, anything. I mean, this is what I do. I work for you guys. So I would far rather be working for an individual than trying to put together a presentation.
Yep, and just like I said, we're always here. If you have any general questions as well, you can give us a call. John, I think you have my contact information.
I do, yes.
If you want to pass it along to
Even better.
all.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much for attending. Really appreciate it. And as you know, we've got the small business grants coming up. The September 8th. I'm just going to verify that date. September 8th, Tuesday, September 8th is the deadline for that. I can help you with your applications if you want.